but to see how quickly someone's life can turn around if they just start
Mm.
was like that was real for me for the first time. It's like, whoa, we think that our goals are so far away. Like it's going to take us 5 years, 10 years, or that's never going to happen to me. It's like, well, it took me 9 months to make in a month what I used to make in a year.
Mhm.
Like crazy how quickly your life can change if you just start and you just do the thing and you just roll with the punches. Because I see even
Yep.
my students say this now. They're like, well, I don't really know where I want to go. I don't know what I want to do yet. So I'm just not doing anything. I need to figure it out first. It's like, well, I didn't know how I was going to make money online when I started. And I just kept like rolling with the punches. And as new opportunities came up or as I became aware of
Yep.
new things, I like pivoted and eventually found my way. So I hope that people just start.
Hi, Taylin. Nice to have you on the
Hello.
show.
Oh, I'm stoked to be here, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, same here. Look forward to this conversation. So, how are you doing today? How is everything? How is life?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good today. Life is good. We just did a community launch last week of our Microcreators community that it was in beta for 8 months. And then we had a big like 3 week push leading up to the launch as well as the launch itself. So it took a lot out of me. There was not as much sleep as I would have liked, but the launch went well and we're happy with the results and all the new members that are with us and everything. And now I finally got the chance to rest and catch up on
Yeah,
sleep and watch some anime, and I'm bouncing back.
wonderful. Congratulations, by the way, on the launch.
Thank
That
you.
definitely is a huge milestone for you and your agency.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. It's been fun to move more into education, less
Mm.
ghostwriting. Has been incredible, but I don't want to jump the gun here. I'll put it back to you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go right into it. Who are you? How will you introduce yourself to our audience? Let them meet you.
Definitely. So I am Taylin John Simmonds. I was a music producer actually for like 7 years. I produced dance music in my teens and my early 20s. And then I got kind of tired of the hectic lifestyle of it and being a starving artist because it was
Mhm.
challenging. I loved music. I loved art. It was just difficult not making that much money and like always struggling to get by. So I wanted something more sustainable. So I became a college teacher where I was teaching people to produce electronic dance music and the business side around it, which was super fun, very rewarding. Developed a lot of skills. Had to overcome my fear of public speaking and learn to write better, learn to like systemize, hold a room. I became a college teacher when I was 22 or 23. So I was like also quite young. So there was a lot of
Yeah,
hurdles of students would come in and they would think like, oh, is this person really qualified to teach me? Like, and
exactly.
this was the first time I really ever felt like a lot of pressure actually in a career because students like, hey, I just paid $30,000 to be here. Can you give me the golden ticket to my dreams? And at my early 20s, that was like a lot of responsibility and weight to
Mhm.
bear. So that getting used to that and creating success systems and doing everything I could to help those students succeed was challenging, but also very rewarding. I did that for around 7 years. And then I started writing online on Twitter, actually. And within 6 months, ended up starting a ghostwriting agency. I didn't even know what ghostwriting was back then. And I had no idea about writing or social media marketing or online business when I started this journey. But I got a mentor and started an agency in 2022. And it just exploded due to the connections that I made and the referrals I was able to get. And next thing I knew, I was making good money, traveling around as a digital nomad, and the rest is kind of history. Like from there, people just ask me, "Can you show
Wow.
me how to do the same?" Can I'm trying to transition out of my career and get into
Mhm.
online business. Is there a sustainable way to do it? I want to grow on social media, and I had so many people ask that I started pulling on those college teacher roots to create alternate education. And that's what I'm going all in on now is alternate education for creators.
Wow. what a journey. Maybe at the end of this call, you give us some dance moves so that we can validate you.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Just
Yeah,
a little,
but quite.
just this. That's it. That's it.
Well, that is something okay, I'll try that. But let's get back here. But wonderful journey. Yeah, studying of music. And the funny thing is, these days we feel like everyone who goes into music makes it because those who actually make it, they are quite like they're out there. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah. So maybe just a little about that experience. How difficult is it for people to actually break into the music, I would say, circle where people become recognized for what they do from your experience? How much energy do you need to put in?
Oh, it'd be extremely difficult, like really, really hard. I think music is one of the hardest things to market, and nowadays musicians have to basically be like social media marketers, like stuff that goes viral on TikTok or catches a wave, gets a lot of views on YouTube. Spotify playlists can be really good as well, but that's more of like a network effect to get into
Okay.
Spotify playlists from what I remember. So a lot of it comes down to social media marketing, and it's very challenging. As someone who does social media marketing for a living and helps
Mhm.
other people learn how to do social media marketing, I think music would be one of the hardest things to market and to get people to care about a new song or an artist that they've never
Mhm.
heard of. It would be extremely challenging. So I think that for somebody to go into that, they would have to have a ton of passion and be willing to also learn social media marketing as well as the music aspect in order to really make some waves.
Yeah, that passion to keep going, even even when it's not looking like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Because I guess there's so many people singing, there's so many sing like artists out there, but being able to just stand out and get the right audience. Okay, let's go into ghostwriting. You said when you started, you didn't even know there was a concept like that. Um, so then how do you then make it in like 6 months? From what are the things people can do? I know it's not everyone has this story, right? But I guess quite a lot of people are writers. They want to grow in that space. They want it to also cover their bills because it's very important when you do that. So, from your experience, what can they do? How can they even get into that space of ghostwriting?
For sure. So for me, it was a combination of hard work and just diving in and doing the thing, like just
Mhm.
starting, and a little bit of like luck, like a lot of luck actually, but
Mhm.
it was combined with the work. So what I mean by that is it's even a fluke that I started writing on Twitter because I had never done anything on social media. I wasn't big on social media. I thought it was just like a waste of time, to be honest, which is like funny with where I am now, 2.5 years later. But I met a friend who said, just start it writing online. Within 1 year, it will change your life. I promise you.
Mhm.
And I thought he was crazy, but I started writing on Twitter and got into the whole Twitter growth sphere, took a bunch of courses,
Mhm.
and was trying to figure out how to make money online. Because my girlfriend lived in a different country. She lives in Europe, she's in Germany. And I really wanted to make it work with her, but I was stuck as like a broke college teacher. I was like, how the heck am I going to make this relationship work? Like, it doesn't make sense for her to come here. I'm like location locked. So I felt like I had to make it. Like, my relationship was on the line. It was very important to me. So I was very driven. So I was writing a lot, trying to figure out how do I make money on social media. And back then, in the Twitter sphere, a lot of people were talking about ghostwriting. Like, oh, you can ghostwrite for founders and CEOs, other people who want to grow. And if you can grow them on Twitter and help them get leads for their business, they'll pay you anywhere from like 2,000 a month to like $10,000 a month US. And I was like, whoa, this is like a thing. Like, I didn't, you can
Yeah.
actually do this. Like, that's crazy. Because I was making like in US probably $2,700 a month US as a college teacher.
Mhm.
So to think that one client would be able to like basically replace my income, like pretty
Yeah.
close, I'm like, this is nuts. So I started writing for free. I wrote for free for that. It was like 4 or 5 months, I think. I just wrote for another ghostwriter for free to gain social proof and to like learn how to do it. He would give me a little bit of feedback anytime that it went viral. I was able to take screenshots of the posts. And then that gave me my social proof to eventually land my first client. But where I got really lucky is there's Dakota Robertson, who is quite a ways ahead of me in the social media marketing space. I reached out to apply to write at his agency, but he already had all of his writers. And he said, "Hey, why don't I just teach you to be a ghostwriter?" And I
Mm.
was like, I don't know. Like, it was like a pretty big investment at the time for me. It was like a lot. I think it maxed out my credit card. And I was just like, well, I would love to, but I don't know if this is like something that I can afford. And I ended up just finally being like, you know what, screw it, I'll go all in. And he taught me how to ghostwrite in probably like 2 or 3 weeks, just fast tracked me. And he's like, hey, I have all these extra leads. Like, I'll just give you the leads so that you don't have to go and try to get your own clients. He's like, as long as you can like fulfill on them, and maybe once you get started, you kick me back like 20% of the, or it was like 10 to 20% of like the monthly income, then I'll just keep giving you leads. And I was just like, okay. And he had so much lead flow that I just ran with it.
Wow.
And next thing you know, we were at like 10K per month. And I was like, holy crap, like I can't believe I'm making 10K a month US. This is crazy. It was like wild for me at the time. I was like, this is like insane amounts of money. I felt like completely rich. Um, and then next thing you know, we're at like 20K, and I was like, could we go further? And then we were at 40K a month, and I was like, what? And then at the peak, we hit like 70, and I was like, okay, this is like just too. I don't like having this many clients. This is crazy. Like we're gonna back this off. But it was just like unfathomable, and I say that because like 6 months prior, I'd never even written on social media. I didn't even like care about social media. But to see how quickly someone's life can turn around if they just start was like that was real for me for the first time. It's like, whoa, we think that our goals are so far away. Like it's going to take us 5 years, 10 years, or that's never going to happen to me. It's like, well, it took me 9 months to make in a month what I used to make in a year. Like crazy how quickly your life can change if you just start and you just do the thing and you just roll with the punches. Because I see even
Yep.
my students say this now. They're like, well, I don't really know where I want to go. I don't know what I want to do yet. So I'm just not doing anything. I need to figure it out first. It's like, well, I didn't know how I was going to make money online when I started. And I just kept like rolling with the punches. And as new opportunities came up or as I became aware of
Yep.
new things, I like pivoted and eventually found my way. So I hope that people just start.
Wow. No, really powerful. In fact, last week I made a post on moving from a planner to a doer. Because
Mm.
most of us we get stuck with maybe I need a more elaborate plan, and it's like a year you still haven't put out a post. You have plans on how to put out a post, but you still haven't put out one
Yeah.
after 1 year. And yeah, you just need to go for it. If not, like the analysis paralysis, where you're constantly analyzing and overthinking. What if they don't like it? That's not what you should be concerned about. Start, and like you said, you pivot as you progress. No, but really powerful, and with the time you did it, I think it's quite remarkable. That it just shows the power of mentorship or having someone to hold your hand while going on some of this journey. Might maybe way faster. Any thoughts on that, on mentorship and yeah.
I think it's incredible on a more, we'll say, big idea, like society basis. I think we're getting away from the traditional model of education,
Mm,
which is you go to school, you sit in a classroom, you go as fast as the slowest student. It's very theoretical, and then you're tested on memory instead of practical
mm,
skills. The real world just doesn't work that way. The real world works a little more like how it used to be back in the hunter-gatherer societies, where you would find someone who had done the thing you want to learn, and then you would apprentice under them, and they would teach you the theory, but you would focus the most on the practice, and you would practice and practice until you get really good. And in what I would consider the world of like making money or business
mm,
or alternate education, I think that that is more of what we're moving towards is people finding mentors who have done the thing and just helping them with execution and increasing their awareness to be able to hit the goals that they want. And that I will say I'm a little biased because I'm moving into alternate education.
yeah.
But part of the reason that I'm so passionate about it is as a college teacher, there were conversations that I actually did have with staff members sometimes where I
Okay.
said, hey, the curriculum feels like out of date for this and that we need to update it. And the school would go, well, it's going to take us like a couple years. We have to submit to
Mm,
a board, and then the board has to approve it. And then we have to rewrite the curriculum for like the next time that class runs. And I'm like, that's like a long process to keep stuff up to date when the world moves so fast.
yeah.
And we did the best we could to make it as practical as we could, but some classes were just so theoretical and based on memorization that I didn't really feel like students were actually learning things. And some of like the other instructors or even my boss was like, yeah, I think it is actually sometimes hard with the model that we are constrained to get results for the students because there's just no other way that we can do it because of regulation. And I just think in alternate education, that is an incredible opportunity. Is we can just be like, okay, what is going to work? What is going
Working.
to
Yeah.
get people results? And let's do that. And let's refine it until we can consistently get as many people results as possible. And I'm just very, very bullish on on alternate education and helping people transition from, we'll say the more traditional path is maybe the right word. I'm trying to think of another word for it, but the traditional path that I was on to a more alternate path because it's changed my life. And I'm aware that it's possible. And I think with my teaching skills, I can really help a lot of other people change their lives too.
Very impressive. I like the fact that at least you found the meeting point of what you're passionate about, what you're doing, and how to really transfer that knowledge. I like the concept of alternate education because we learn on the go, we learn as quickly as possible. In fact, when I go online, that's part of what I do, right? It's before this time it was go and enjoy somebody's skit or something. I'm not saying that's wrong. But when I realized that I could get a lot of education for free by following people who are actually doing things that are working, it changed my perspective of online, being online and what one can possibly do online as well. So for people who grew up in that traditional system, how can they start adjusting and changing their mind towards it? Because for some people, they'll still tell you if it's not, if you don't have a full-fledged curriculum, everything well defined at this point, you must learn this, then I'm not going to pay for that course. I'm not going to follow that person. So what can they do to at least get in the groove? Yeah.
Yeah, this one is really tricky, and it is probably the biggest hurdle to people getting into what I call creator-led business, is that they're not aware that the opportunity exists. And if they are, they're very skeptical of the people who might be able to teach them because of so many online like gurus on the internet, like kind of like ruining alternate education or the
Mm,
brand of alternate education. But I do believe that that is changing slowly, and people are becoming more aware of the value of the right alternate education, the same way that some colleges are better than other colleges. But having people become aware of the opportunity is difficult because that's where I was stuck. Like when someone told me to write on Twitter for a year and it would change my life, I thought they were absolutely crazy. Like, you know how much of an odd statement that is to hear as someone who's never written on social media, to have someone say, dude, if you just go to this political platform where everyone complains about
yeah.
politics and write for a year, your whole life will change. I'm like, this dude's a nut job. But I had to have faith, and I think it starts there is okay, there are actual people who are making money online. Like we know that as
Yeah.
a fact. Like there are people who are traveling the world and they have really cool jobs and they're doing things that they're passionate about. Once I accepted that that was true, I was like, okay, like maybe I should look into what they're doing. Like, how is this actually happening? Let's read their content. Let's find other people who I authentically vibe with. And what you eventually arrive at, just from like a first principles perspective, is business is okay, somebody is going to exchange money for some form of value.
Yeah.
And why would it not be possible to do that over the internet? The internet has opened up so many new opportunities because of the types of value exchanges that we can do. So it's very obvious someone walks into a like a cafeteria or a small cafe and they're just like, oh, like I will exchange money for a coffee. But then when you tell the same person like, oh, someone would exchange you money for something like online on social media, they're like, well, that's not possible. Like that's like scamming. That's really weird. And those same
Yeah.
people will buy stuff off Instagram. So it's bizarre. Like it's realizing like, oh, I could just reach more people instead of being location locked and
Yeah.
starting like this big business where I need to get a loan and I need to hire all this staff and I need to rent a building. Like getting into business, traditional business is expensive. But thinking about, oh, I could go online and I could just find a product or even create a digital
Yeah.
product. And then I could use social media to attract my customers and already have access to thousands of people, tens of thousands, 100,000. And the only barrier to entry to your success is your skills. That's it. And that's why I say creator-led business is so powerful. If you can like create effective marketing, like good social media content, if you can identify what are things that people want and are willing to buy online, where is their demand, and you can build a meaningful product or develop the skills to offer a service that can like
Yeah.
service those people, you can run a creator-led small business with just yourself, like one person or a small team, and you can make life-changing income. And I think once people realize that, it's like, oh, a business is just exchanging value for money.
Yeah.
And I can do that online and I can just reach more people and help more people and have fun talking about the things I want to talk about. Like to get paid to do that is incredible. And I wish that more people were aware that that exists.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, and, and just hearing you say it again, for me, and like you said, there are so many gurus out there. Sometimes you see their sales videos and you're like, is this even possible? But just talking with someone, yeah, it's very much more relatable because those opportunities are there, but people don't know. They still feel, in the traditional setting, you probably need a lot of certifications to prove that you have certain skills. But the world is really changing. Like you said, it's what value, what skill do you have? What are you offering right now? How can you make that visible to people? And then people will probably value you for that. Now let's go into the sales part as well, because like you mentioned, one thing is you're doing something you're good at, but how can people or what can they do to make people see what they are doing and value them accordingly? Yeah, I can constantly put out posts there and I'm not getting traction. Um, are there some things I need to do differently to help people see or help me sell myself better while refining my skills?
This is really good. And it ties back to what you were saying about credentialism and that credentials are
Mhm.
changing. I look at university and just traditional education as a skill acquisition business. Like that's really what they do is you go to university to learn a certain set of skills so you can perform a job, but there's also like basically locked jobs behind credentials. It's like if you want this job, you need this certification from you need to have acquired the skills from this particular institution. And in certain fields, I think there's merits to that. Like I don't want a
Yeah.
neuroscientist who just learned it on his own if I had a brain tumor. So like there are certain jobs where credentials like really do matter. But what I do love about the business world and selling ourselves is those credentials actually don't matter. Like I was hiring for a community manager position the other day, and like again, I'm kind of biased, but when someone like gave me university credentials, I instantly like disregarded the application because I don't care. I want to know that somebody can do the job, and I want them to know that they can tell me how they're going to add bottom line to the business, and that they can tell me what KPIs or key indicators I should be looking for to know what the success is. And people can do that online. They don't need the credentials to do that. They can acquire the skills themselves through like study and practice. They could hire a mentor to acquire those skills or to shortcut it, we'll say. And then they can create content showing here is like what I've learned. It's like here's how you can
Yeah.
do it. But there's also a better way, I think, to do it if you want to show authority and get leads and opportunities is here's how I have done something desirable. So I call them milestones of influence. So one could be landing your first ghostwriting client. That's an incredible milestone of influence. Like
Yeah.
I just made $2,000 with my first ghostwriting client Here's how you can do the same. And then you tell that story. Like social proof content wrapped in a story package and shared on the timeline is the new way of putting like credentials on a resume. I just think of it from the
Nice.
same principles as on a resume, it's just going to say experience, worked at this
Yeah,
job, worked at this job, went
yeah,
to this school. Now your social media, it's like a whole timeline of experience. It's like, look what I did. Here's how I did this. Here's how you can do this. And people read it and it's more real for them.
yeah.
And it's attracting way more opportunities. So that's what I would say the difference is.
No, really powerful. And now let's talk about your alternative education platform. What do you have in mind? Who are the people you're targeting? And yeah, what exactly do you have in mind? Are you trying to bring this new way of education to life? What is it about?
Definitely. So my alternate education is called Microcreators. It is
Yeah,
a community that is full of systems. And the way that we're approaching it is, as a college teacher, I found there was way too much focus on theory and not enough on practice, which is way too theoretical. And I think that most traditional education follows suit. It's based on memorization, not on understanding. So in the creator economy or in business in general, you have to be able to do the thing. Like if someone's like, "Hey, can you get us sales?" You need to be able to convert to sales. Like, "Hey, can you create some viral marketing?" You have to be able to go viral. So it all comes down to you actually having the skills to succeed. So microcreators is a compilation of systems with hands-on support and a community to provide feedback so that you can learn faster to just help you actually implement knowledge extremely quick. So whether it's learning to write, go viral with content, we'll say attract leads, convert to sales, come up with offers for an online business, and scale an online business, there's all systems of implementation inside. It's okay, here's like quickly a little bit of the theory of what you need to do, but here is the
yeah.
practice. Like here is a quote unquote, we'll call it a worksheet, but they're more like fun systems. Worksheet
Mhm.
makes it sound so stuffy. It's like you fill out this Notion system, follow it to a T, and you will do it repeatedly, and you will learn how to do
Yeah.
this and get consistent, repeatable results. And that's like how microcreators is built is we're really focusing on what actually is going to help people acquire the skills, not just be aware of the skills like, oh, I know I need
Yeah.
to write a hook, but then they write a hook for social media and it flops. It's like, hey, we want people to be able to consistently write viral hooks. What system would it take to do that? And that's how we approach the education.
Oh, wonderful. And I think I need to check that out because I'm learning how to write hooks. My hooks, like when they go, they just look back at me like, this is for you. So, yeah, but I like the practicality. In fact, I'm currently in a cohort with some very smart people, and that's what they're teaching. And it's more around sales, right? I'm a typical engineer, so I don't know sales,
Yeah,
but it's something
gotcha.
I'm fascinated about. So got into this cohort, and yeah, well, just like you said, creating a system where you get to actually practice. I can go take a course, a certification for like 1 year, and I will never sell anything. I'll just learn the theory and probably a bit of practicals. But here you're thrown into the deep with obviously a line to help you back
Yeah,
if you need to, but it you have to
yeah,
swim. You just have to swim.
definitely.
Yeah, so
I
it's
love that.
remarkable. Yeah. So thank you so much for making our time. I know it's a quick chat, but just wanted to hear from you, from your experience and your entire transition. So for someone who is struggling to make that life defining change, right? So they're currently on a path that they know it's not working. It's really not working, but it's what they've prepared for probably their whole life, probably through education and other things. And what will you say to them to help something to just help them understand that you understand what they're going through, and you can help like if they take that bold step or something. What would you say to someone struggling to make that life defining change that doesn't seem conventional?
It's an interesting question. So what we're talking about here is like behavior change. How do we get someone to like change their own behavior and be motivated to change their own behavior? And all I can say for me is the moments where I've changed my behavior in the most impactful ways were because the pain of staying the same was just too much. Like the pain of change was no longer,
Mm.
the pain of change was no longer more than the pain of staying the same. For example, like I almost had to claim bankruptcy in my early 20s after just having like a failed music career and ending up so broke. And I just remember like lying in bed, actually crying myself to sleep, being like, if my rest of my life is going to be like this, like I actually think I'd rather just like die now, which is very dark. But like it was just that painful. And I was just like, hey, well, what other options are there? And that's when I even started reading Tony Robbins. That's when I started getting into self-help and self-improvement and learning about money. And it was actually like starting on that path that eventually led me to the creator economy. So for anyone, like regardless of their situation, a very odd piece of advice is to like actually like feel the pain, to like allow yourself to like hit the low that you're gonna hit so that you actually like, hey, I need to make a change. And when that moment comes, don't play the victim, don't do the woe is me. Actually ask yourself like, okay, who else has succeeded and has what I want? And can I be humble enough and curious enough to try to see the world the way that they see it and give that a shot and have faith that it's not only true for them, but it's also true for me. All starts with faith. Is, when I was starting ghostwriting, I hadn't signed any clients yet. Hearing that I could make $3,000 a month with one client sounded crazy, but I just followed someone else's system and had faith. If I just do these things, eventually it will work. Eventually, like I will succeed. And that faith is what kept me going. So that's the advice I would give to my younger self.
Not so powerful. Yeah, but
Thank you.
and you saying it is because you've experienced it. That it's just it sounds really authentic. So thank you for sharing this, I'll say tip, but quite powerful statement you just made. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, of
Okay.
course.
Yeah. So if someone wants to reach you, how can they get across to you, the work you do? Is it something you're open to? Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course. So, Twitter is where I'm most active. So at Taylin Simmonds, TaylnSimmonds. Taylin John Simmonds on LinkedIn as well. I'm pretty active on there. I do have a newsletter, which you can check out with some free courses on becoming a micro creator and learning like the basics of writing online, becoming a micro writer. That's taylinsimmonds.com. You can find everything there. And if you're interested in checking out the alternate education and micro creators, that's at taylinsimmonds.com as well.
Right, and I'll share the links when I make the post as well. So for
Cool.
our audience, please look out for his work. He's doing so well, and keep inspiring us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, man. I'll do my best. You too. Later.
Take care.